Have you ever worked a job where you gave everything, the time, the energy, the holidays, the weekends, and at the end of it all, you look at your bank account and thought, this can be it. That is what most people live through. 10 years of work, sacrifices, stress, and still nothing to show for it. And that is why I say this. One army contract made me more than a 100K job. I'm not exaggerating. I didn't need a fancy degree to get it. I didn't need 15 years of climbing in corporate America. I didn't need to beg for promotion or grind 60 hours a week. I signed one army contract, just one. And the value I walk away with has been worth far more than 100K. And in this video, I'm going to break it all down because if you don't understand how this works, the system will chew you up and spit you out. But if you do understand it, even one contract can change your entire life. Let me start here. Most soldiers and most civilians too don't live ahead. They live broke. Why? Because the system is not built to make you rich. It is built to keep you working, to keep you surviving. Think about it for a second. The military paycheck is not life-changing money. Let me be honest, it's not. And an E3, E4, and even E5, okay, which is a sergeant, you are not stacking wealth. You are just covering bills. Civilians, they spend years in school, rack up 60K, 80K, even 100K in loan, graduating into jobs that barely keep them afloat. And the culture, whether in the barracks or out in the world, pushes you to spend, not to build. So people grind their 20s, their 30s, even their 40s, and still feel like they are running in places. They are turning in circle. I know that feeling. That weight of giving your time, giving your body, giving your energy, and still being broke. That is why what I discovered felt so wild. Because here's the truth. The army paycheck is not the real price. The LES, your living and earning statement that hits on the 1st and the 15th of the month, that is survival money. That is the distraction. The real price, the reason I say one contract made me more than 100K job is in the benefit. And not just surface level benefit, the ins and out. Benefit nobody explained to me when I signed. Benefit most soldier, most people ignore. Benefit most civilian could only dream about. For me, those benefits turn into $4,544 every month, that's free for life. $2,500 a month plus every month while going to school with tuition fully covered to the school. Access to the VA loan, which most veterans use to buy a home with $0 down, no PMI. Healthcare, counseling, and resources that civilians pay thousands for every year. When you add that up, you start to see why I say one contract gave me six-figure leverage. Let's do the math together, okay? VA disability compensation, that is $4,544 a month tax-free, which is $54,528 a year. And because it is tax-free, that's the same as someone else making around 75K at a job. GIB and BAH. When I went back to school, I was collecting $2,500 plus a month. That is about 30K a year, plus tuition fully covered to the school. Over time, that turned into 2 master degrees for me. Debt-free, of course. The VA loan, like I said, I personally don't use it. I said it in the video before because of my religion, because of my conviction. I avoid interest, debt with interest. But let's be real. Being able to buy your house with $0 down, no PMI, saving $10,000 in dollars in upfront costs, that's huge for most veterans. Healthcare and PECs. Every year, this saves thousands of dollars. Doctor visit, counseling, service, civilian swipe credit card for, we have access to those. Have just the first two that I listed, the disability and the BAH, and you are already looking at over 80K in annual value. And tuition, housing saving, and healthcare, that's easily over 100K in real world value. Now, let's step back for a second and compare. Picture a civilian. They go to college, take out 80K in loan, graduate, and they get a 50K job. They spend the next 15 to 20 years slowly digging themselves out of debt. Meanwhile, I did one contract, walk away with a guaranteed lifetime paycheck, free education, $2,500 a month while studying, the option for housing leverage, and healthcare for good measure. Who is really ahead in both of those? Would you rather spend 10 years grinding to maybe hit 6 figures or unlock it in just one contract? When I ETS, when I left the military, I didn't walk away with stack of cash, but I walked away with something more valuable, leverage. That's the word, leverage. My rent covered by the BAH when I was studying. My tuition fully covered. My bills paid for by the allowance that I was receiving. My IT paycheck was extra money, pure profit. My disability compensation, lock in, guaranteed for life. I was not scrambling anymore. I was not living paycheck to paycheck. I was building. Do you know how it feels to live a life where your essentials, your basics are already covered, okay, before your paycheck even arrives? It feels like freedom. That's the key, freedom. But here's the sad part. Most soldiers don't live with this. They save, they sacrifice, they do the years, and then they walk away broke. It happens again and again because they didn't file the VA claim, because they didn't use the GI Bill, because they didn't plan their exit. I have seen it with my own eyes. People who gave years of their life to service but left with nothing. And let me ask you, will you throw away a 100K check, 100,000 check? Let's say that I signed a check of $100,000. Will you throw it away? Because that is exactly what happens every day. I had a friend of mine who got out around the same time as me, same contract, same years in, but he didn't file, didn't go back to school, didn't use the loan. He walked away with nothing. Civilian jobs, bills piling up, stress every month. I feel sorry for him. But me, I filed, I got paid, I studied, I stack, I invest. Same service we did, two different choices, two different outcomes, of course. Which one do you think is living better today? And let me be real with you. This was not just about money. It was about what the money represented. Okay? What the money represented. It represented stability. It represented breathing room. It represented freedom. When you are not suffocating under bills, you start to think bigger. You stop living in desperation mode. You stop chasing crumbs and start planning meals. That is what this one contract gave me. So here is the bigger truth. The military can either trap you or free you. If you only focus on the paycheck, it is the trap already. You're already lost. You will save, you will sacrifice your health, you will sacrifice your time, and you will live broke. But if you learn the system, it is a cheat code. It is an exit plan. It is leverage for life. That is the difference. And here is where I get fired up. Nobody tells you this. Nobody tells you this. Recruiters don't explain it. Maybe they don't know themselves. Leaders don't break it down. Maybe they hide it. The system doesn't care if you live rich or broke. Nobody cares. Every year, billions of dollars in benefit sit unused while veterans struggle, homeless, are broke and forgotten. Not because the money is not there, but because nobody told them how to use it. Nobody is coming there to claim it. That's the tragedy. And that is why I talk about it. So what is the lesson? It is not about the army paycheck in itself. It was never about that. It is about the benefits, the tools, the leverage. File your claim, use your GI Bill, collect your housing allowance, explore the loan if it fits you. Okay? Have a plan before you ETS. If you do that, even one contract is enough to unlock 6 figures. I'm the living proof. If you don't, one contract is nothing. That is the choice. So yeah, that is how one army contract made me more than a 100K job. Not because I love a PT at 4:30 a.m., not because of the base pay, but because I learned the benefit most people ignore. That contract gave me a lifetime paycheck, 2 master degrees, housing money, and freedom. That's the key. Freedom. Most soldiers live broke. I did not. And you don't have to either, because at the end of the day, the military can either be the reason you are stuck or the reason you are free. The choice is yours. Peace. I'm gone.